Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just roll with it, man.
All right.
I think we can get started.
All right, Joe. Let's roll.
Yeah, let's roll. Hi, hi, outside world. I'm Greg Titus. Hi, Preston.
Yes. Hello. Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Little technical difficulty, but hey, we got it done.
Yeah. Well, when we're on the bleeding edge, so it's like doing SNL, but a little bit less funny. So hopefully we'll make it fun as well.
That's all right.
I'm Greg Titus from FinStream. I'm here with my partner, Bob Powell. Bob and I are going to spend some time with Dr. Preston Cherry. Bob, you want to read Preston's bio?
Sure. So Dr. Cherry, he's the author of Wealth in the Key of Life, which was published in 2024. Wiley was the publisher. He's the founder and CEO of Concurrent Wealth Management. He also serves as the director of the Financial Planning Program and the Charles Schwab Foundation Center for Financial Wellness at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. He has over 18 years of experience in financial services and academia. Dr. Cherry helps individuals align their wealth with their well-being and create financial harmony in their lives. Preston, welcome to FinStream Live.
Yes. Thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me again. Good seeing you both.
It's great to chat with you again.
Well, one of the things I want to mention before we get too far is if you like this show and you want to see more shows like this, please subscribe to the channel. Please make comments. The content is better when people ask questions.
Awesome. I love your channel, by the way. You know, it's always good when folks chime in and have comments along the way. It's quite boring when nobody just it doesn't have nobody having questions. We got to have something where somebody says, that's me too, right?
Yeah.
So, Preston, how's the book going? Tell I mean, I guess people who might be here listening may not know about the book, so maybe talk a little bit about the book first, and then we can talk about how it's going.
The book is going well. Thanks for asking, Bob. The book actually, it was named after Songs in the Key of Life and the Stevie Wonder album from years ago.
Oh, I remember that well.
Oh my goodness! If I was in my home studio, then you would actually see the album. And there's some friends of Mr. Wonder. I don't know Mr. Wonder, even though I've been inspired by the album and some of the things that I've been through in life and just my studies and also, the way I practice advising folks and education folks inspired the book as well. I don't know Mr. Wonder, but I was actually on a radio show with Tavis Smiley, who knows Stevie Wonder, and Lynette Calfani Cox and her husband, Earl, they know Mr. Wonder. And I've heard that they have told, all those folks have told that Stevie, that there's a book named after kind of loosely his album. So that's one cool little known fact about the book. But the book is doing well. Here's what the title means, about wealth in the key of life. Speaking of influential musical artists, Quincy Jones, rest his soul, he said everybody has the same 12 notes. So everybody has the same 12 music notes. It's what you do with them. So we have all this music after all this, the existence of human beings making this music. And think of all the different music that's been created over time with these 12 notes. And so everybody has their own life, And so we have our own unique individual relationship with money. And this is what makes money personal. And so through the themes of the Songs in the Key of Life album and the theme of music, which I love, and I know we'll talk about this later. I had this vinyl music collection that my dad passed along to me, and the uniqueness of the partnership of money, what money means to everybody uniquely, the identity of money, the partnership of money, not just a tool. Because a partner you're dancing with, the toil that you trade for, what we exchange for money, right? And then it walks through life And that's all those themes on the album too. When you're talking about the cycles of life, you know, the love, the sadness, the joys, the happiness, the stages of life, right? All society, culture, right? Identity, and all those ebbs and flows of life. And money touches each one of those. Then we have to explore how money touches all those, and then how does that inform the financial strategies? You know, how we make our decisions and how we're going to strategize about the money now and in retirement.
Well, we do have some questions for you that will pertain to the book, but I'm going to see if we can get some more people from outside to call in as well and get some lively conversation going. One question we wanted to start with was, what inspired you to write the book?
You know, there's a framework in the book, and one of the couple of themes are transformation, being able to transform yourself, you know, with your life and money, being able to arrive in your life honestly. And one of the things I share with people just in general, and with my students and my clients and just with people is, you know, the IRS must have lost their everlasting mind when they created the HSA. because it's triple tax advantage. We know the IRS likes to collect money, right? You know, they're not going to give you, you know, free tax in, free tax in the middle, and free tax out. They're not going to do that, right? And so that's the health savings account. Well, what inspired me, one of the things that inspired me to write the book is an honest HSA, which I call the emotional HSA, which is the honest self-audit. And that is admitting where you are, acknowledge how you feel about it, and taking action. And this is the first step. It's called like that ah moment. And what for me is what's that transformational moment that everybody has, is that ah moment. It was kind of like Oprah, for all you people that remember Oprah when she was a host. People remember what Oprah's doing now, just chilling with her billions, right? But back in the day, Oprah, you know, when she was giving away cars and stuff, you know, people would reach out of their seat and Oprah was like, oh, like that, right? So what's your ah moment? And that's 3 A's. What's that moment in life that you said, you know, I don't want to do this. This is where people worry about, you know, worry sometimes about money, anxiety about money, or want to stop what they're doing. It's like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I have a relationship with money in the past, you know, what my maybe cultural experiences and all this, right? I want to audit that. I don't want to do this. And now I want to have aspirational value and go do this. Maybe with their current lifestyle right now, right? Thinking boldly, thinking aspirational, or even in future retirement, you know. So it's past, present, and future. And it's giving yourself permission to transform oneself and using your dollars in order to invest in that in a way to do so. And for me, the book kicks off with, and everybody has a story. You can find your stories, and everybody has a story. It's having the courage to go discover them, right? And so I have a story, you have a story, everybody has a story. And if you can sit down with that first A, which is admit where you are and investigate that story, process those feelings about it, acknowledge how you feel about it, and then use those to go have some action, to go do what you need to do, to go do what you want to do. And for me, that first chapter is I gave it all in the first chapter about my story, so you can go get in touch with your story. So then you can go do what you need to do about your life and finances and get where you need to get. So that's where it started. That's what inspired me to write the book, is for everybody to get in touch with their own story.
Everybody has a story, that's for sure. We learned that. We talk about that a lot, actually, as an organization.
Yeah.
So many high earners and Gen X feel successful on paper, but since you just mentioned anxiety, I'll throw out, anxious aside. Can you walk us through an example where financial therapy turned regret into empowerment, and what surprised you about that?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot. I chuckle not out of judgment, because this is where folks, I use the word permission a lot, because people, when you're on all the threads and whatever social media platform or YouTube or Reddit or whatever, or they're looking at Bob, they're looking at your stuff or whatever it is, and you see the comments, right? A lot of folks are trying to look for permission to thrive in the way they want or make decisions. So your question
Yeah.
and this is the chuckle without judgment. Folks are asking for permission. And when you ask about, especially Gen Xers, they're saying, can I do this? Should I? Can I take this trip, or am I behind, or should I be a little bit further? Should I cut off my kid? From taking care of your adult children, or whatever it may be, right? And so some of it's money guilt, some of it's did we do enough for? Is contentment, did we do enough for ourselves? Did we do enough for our children? Are we done with that? Are we behind? Are we going to have enough? And this is for sure Gen X, right now, because they're right in the middle. Do we have enough time? Are we going to be content with what we got? And what I'm sharing with Gen X too right now, particularly my clients, I'll give you a story here in a minute, but I wanted to set the tone. What I share with them really is like, get good with what you got.
Yeah.
Get good with what you got, because that's all you're gonna get. And I know that's basic, but just like with death, there's only a few guarantees, and checking out is one of them. So let's get real with that. I mean, that's a guarantee. Taxes is another. I know a lot of people like to talk about taxes, and I'm gonna stick it to the man, and the government is doing this. And my question to them is when have you never not paid tax?
Yeah.
So you're gonna do that. So getting back to the getting what you got, get comfortable with what you got, is when you're talking about Gen X and them processing, this moment, right, and not having to deal with some of this, some of this regret, using these process moments. This is financial therapy here, is working through the emotion first and clearing the palate, so you can then get to the strategies that you need to do to commit to in order to, maybe catch up, or, find, and speaking of catch ups, find that money to do the catch ups in your IRAs and your 401ks and all that, right? Because what I just shared with you is for folks to motivate themselves to maybe motivational interviewing or questioning or sharing their story, right? In order to match their emotions and find line items in their money to then move those line items into that's going to make them whole. And what do I mean by that? Well, if adult children is a line item, well, how do you feel about your investment in your children? Here's a question. Do you feel that you've placed enough investment in your children, adult children, emotionally and financially to this point? What's your comfort level? A scale of 1 to 10. And pause. Because now that's a conversation. That's an emotional and a financial conversation. And their answer to that is going to allow them to address the line item to say if they can move that investment to their children over into those catch-ups. And then that's going to bring the anxiety and worry and money down a notch, because now you found $30, $40, $50, $60,000 perhaps, to move over into retirement. And I'll give you another story before I pivot, which is what about lifespan and health span well-being? I had a client one time who was talking about, it was weighing the probability of a large payout, and this person was a millionaire, liquid. And I ain't talking about just, a house millionaire. I'm talking about liquid, right? And several times over, almost upwards to 10 million. And this person was like, well, we may get a payout of 5-6 million in about 3 years. And they're in their 50s, and they could have retired. But there's a 50% probability on a $5 million payout. But what if you're in your health, you're talking about health span and lifespan. Sure, you may live to 88, 85 perhaps, but you're in your prime health span vitality years, fully funded, by the way. What's that 50% probability? Are you going to regret having fully funded 50s? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to your spouse one and spouse two? Have you had those conversations? Or do you want to take advantage of these health span vitality years right now? So yeah, that was a conversation. Fast forward, they ended up not waiting around for that payout. So anyway, there's a couple of things in there.
So let's talk a little bit more about the anxiety, because I have anxiety as a parent of adult children. I'm not a Gen Xer, but I know my kids have anxiety about money too. Does everybody have anxiety about money?
Yes. Yeah. And it's just different levels. There's different levels. Now, with preparation, this is why preparation helps. Yeah, and this is what financial wellness is all about. I'll call it the arc of financial wellness, and we'll get to alignment here in a minute. But financial wellness is having the confidence to manage one's finances in a way that you can be able to secure your life goals. So confidence in managing your finances in a way to secure your life goals. That's financial wellness, right? And that's what everybody's after. It's like, and it goes along to my definition of financial harmony, which is well-secured well-being. A lot of folks like to say, well, wealth is more time. Wealth is relationships. Wealth is, being able to be with your family and all this. I said, what? Hold on a minute. There's a timeout on the play, right? Wealth is dollars. Let's go ahead and make this clear. Okay. Wealth is dollars of what it means to you. You can have, it's the amount, right? So that's why I'm saying get good with what you have, right? Yeah. So it's gonna mean differently to different people. Because like I said, my wealth is good for me right now. I wish I had a little bit more, but I call myself a Delta Comfort Plus wealth person. I got a nice thing. Now, if they had to travel the Delta Comfort Plus for me, they'd probably jump off the plane. They'd be like, Delta Comfort Plus, I got to be there, because they're not in first class. I can get first class a little bit sometimes, right? But it's wealth. What are your dollars? How can they secure the well-being that matters to you? And these are the life domains, depending on your life stage. What are the values that you value, right? And so that's what they know, that when you talk about that financial wellness, the confidence in managing your dollars in a way to secure, your life goals. And so what does that take? It takes financial compassion, understanding oneself, financial education, getting informed, and then financial literacy, which people don't like because of the word literacy, but financial literacy is only informed decisions and behaviors. And you got to get that information, through education. So compassion, understanding oneself, getting that information, financial education, literacy, informed decisions and behaviors, and then gaining that wellness. All right. Which gets to my definition of that financial harmony, which is well-secured well-being. All right. And so when you talk about anxiety, then that gets back to alignment. And I like to say, when you give your life, and this is in the book too, when you give your life and money alignment, when you align those, then you can give your money assignments, and then it reduces the anxiety because now you've aligned what you want out of life. You defined your compass, and you say, okay, this is what I want to do. Our household, this is what we want to do. Now we can go about funding that in a way that's going to make us feel more confident, more secure, more clear, and bring down the anxiety. Now that's at each life stage. I can have a conversation with a college student about that. I can have it, with a millennial, Zer, Xer, or a boomer. What is it? The question is what type of life do you want to live? What's important to you? What do you value? And what is your anxiety about? What's bringing you strife right now? But also, what's going to bring you an aspirational level that's going to make you feel comfort and joy and a level of happiness. You can buy happiness, yes, you can, if you know what to invest in.
Yeah.
So it's about alignment.
Yeah, I mean, some people aren't driven by money, and then other people are really driven by money. And I wonder who has less anxiety.
Here, I say this all the time with my full chest. A lot of people don't like to say this. They're like, well, money can't buy happiness. I say, yes, it does if you know what to buy.
Yeah.
Yes, because here, I give you an example. Listen, Mother Teresa and all them, they didn't have any money. They died broke. So you can choose, to be happy without any money if that is your purpose.
Yeah.
So you can find happiness in there. But look, I'm not trying to change the world that way. I wasn't ordained to do that. All right. I got to get on a plane and travel. Okay. I have to, pass along some generational wealth some sort of way. My niece is going to college. I have an 18-month-old son. My wife. We have to fund a household. So being Dr. King or Mother Teresa or Gandhi, that ain't gonna work. I can't die broke.
It's not gonna work. Yeah.
So yes, you can. And happiness is not like pie in the sky happiness all the time. It's funding those life domains that values most. It's units of happiness. Yes, you can buy that. And as I share in the book, yes, and then with clients, it's about alignment. Let me go over something with you about those units of happiness. By the way, it's P's. You got to eat your P's. Purpose, right? Preferences, phase of life, and then you can put that into your purpose, phase of life, your phase of life, who you are as a person. That's your identity. Goes into your financial plan, and now you have prosperity. Okay. That's all about alignment, and that's unique to each person. Now, if you put all those eating your peas, okay, and if you do all that, then now you can pinpoint those happiness units. That's why I say you can buy happiness if you know what to invest in, right? Your own preferences, your person as an identity, what your purpose is, right? What phase of life, because each phase of life is going to bring you something different, right? Sure. I always say, like my dad right now, he has 4 Tom Selleck shirts right now, right? The Hawaiian shirts, from back in the day. Yep. He can wear those all month. Now, I got my little style from my pops, because back in the day when he was my age, I'm 46. Man, my pops was styling and profiling, right? Now, it don't matter too much to him now. Now he don't look looking like a bum. He's well groomed and all that, but it matters to me, and it mattered to him. But life phase, right now he's wearing the Tom Selleck shirts, right? So it's phase of life, So yes, I'll give you one more about what happiness units are. And in the chapter, when I was going through my, and this is what people value. what you invest in. It could be somebody's education. It could be somebody's well-being. When I was going through my struggles with alcohol years ago, I was at a low point way down here to where and I share this in the book, if I didn't want to commit suicide. That said, if I had died one day, I wouldn't have minded. That's how low I was.
Wow.
All right.
That's terrible.
Now, I made enough money during that particular time professionally to where I was able to go buy professional help. Now, and I was able to take some time off. Now, let me finish this point.
How old were you when you were going through that phase?
I was like 37, 36, 30, because that was the 7 years of fog that I'm talking about. That was from 32 to maybe 36 or something like that, 37, something to this point, right? And then I was able to buy professional help for a couple of years. Now, somebody would say, well, you weren't happy. Yes, I was. Because I just shared with you that on one day, you know, if my heart stopped beating one day, I was like, you know, maybe I'll be in a better place, right? And I didn't feel too good. But I was able to use my dollars to go, and I was happier the day that I was able to take a breath, you know, and invest in time. Yes, you can buy happiness if you know what to invest in.
Yeah. So
you see what I'm saying?
So you were already a professional when all that happened to you.
Absolutely. I was a professional, and I was a thriving professional.
Yeah.
I was a thriving professional. Yeah.
Preston, I have to ask, like, as you're talking about all these things, whether it's the story or finding your purpose, like, it's a lot of work. Like, it's hard enough to do my day job. And now you've added all these other things that I need to do to align my money with my life, with my purpose, with my, right? Like, people they're in for some work here.
Yes. Yeah. You got to put that work in, you know. Yes. And you know, that takes it takes courage. It takes grace to come to the table and be oneself. And that's why that first step in having one's aha moment, you know, requires the willingness to want to change, you know, to have that transformation, to have that worthiness. You know, Dr. King called it your own somebodyness. That's why I love the blueprint speech. It's in the book too. You know, if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. You know, but just keep moving. You know, that type of thing, and believe in your own somebodyness. You know, my I got to say, your self-worth is not your net worth, but your self-worth makes your net worth. Yeah. Because my parents instilled in my sister and I that, you know, your self-worth and self-value, nobody can take that away from you. Right. And those are compoundable assets. Also, another thing that I believe is that nobody's self-made. That's some bull. You know, somebody helped you along the way. Somebody believed you along the way. In order for you to have that self-worth and self-value, in order to have, you know, to go have that wherewithal to believe in oneself that you can go make that $1 million. So being a self-made millionaire, no, you know, you have the self-worth and the self-value to have that confidence to go make that $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I'm sharing with you is that having that first step to bring oneself, and it takes a lot of courage and a lot of you know, grace to bring oneself to that first step. That's why it's always that first step, that admit stage, right? And
so how does that happen for you?
Well, it's different for everybody. You know, it does come to a point to where it's like with your life and your money, it's a it thing. Like I say, because a lot of people say, well, you're talking a lot of feelings and stuff. When are you going to get to the financial strategies and all this? I said, no, you know, the financial strategies are it. I said, just pull your financial statements. I said, there's stories and statements. I said, I asked everybody, so let's go through these statements here. I said, pull your statements. And line item by line, I said, there's a story in each one of these statements. So here, let's go to the financial statements. You know, let's pull the record. right? Yeah, because there's stories in there. And
Oh, sure.
I'm pulling this sheet, but had I been at home, I would have pulled an envelope out of my desk drawer. I keep it. And it was 6 months, a year and a half, a year and 3 years of financial statements during my roughest period of my life. And it told a story. And it's an envelope actually, and I wrote on it. I still have it. It's in my desk. I keep it as a reminder. And this is something that I suggest for folks. You ask me directly. It's something. Write your story out. Pull your statements. Write a letter to yourself.
Yeah.
And then you start exploring. This is called your narrative. Write to yourself about how did that event feel to you? What would you want to do differently? And what do you want to do now going forward? What do you want to do? Right. And that's that audit. That's that audit. Of the mirror, it can be a healthy audit or an expensive tax. And if you audit yourself with grace and compassion and go line, and it doesn't even have to be this deep. It doesn't have to be tragic, it doesn't have to be such a traumatic trial. It can just simply be, our finances are not where we want them to be. Even if you're high income, it's like, I get a lot of clients they say, yeah, we got this money coming in. We don't know where it's going. Well, do the same thing. Do the same thing. What I'm telling you, print out the statement, go line item by line item. What did that mean to you? What do you not want to do? Go forward, right? So, but for me, ask for me specifically, is like, what? I don't want to do this anymore. This wasn't it, But it took a while, though, and that took a lot of process. It didn't just happen overnight. It just simply says, I've had enough. And a famous statement is like, listen, you don't know what you asked me specifically. You don't know what it is until you've gone through some it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when you were saying everybody's got a story, I was thinking of a friend who says everybody's got shit. Pardon my
That's right. That's what I meant by the it, right?
Yeah.
And when you go through it, and when you go through that shit, right? So when somebody says, when you're gonna get to the financial part of it, I just gave it to you. Yeah. Right? I just gave it to you, right? Because I've added all that past up, and it was $1 million. It's $1 million.
Yeah,
it's $1 million.
That's what it cost you.
Yes, that's what it cost me.
Wow.
Okay. So that's what. But as my mom says, and I've said this, and I tell her I stole it from her because I've used it in speeches and stuff like that. But there's reasons for seasons, and so I wouldn't be who I am today with this global platform or anything if I didn't go through that.
Yeah.
So
it's all part of your journey.
It's all part of the journey, and everybody has a journey.
Yeah.
So if you don't go through that, and so when folks say, "Well, how much does it cost?" Yeah, everything it's on your statement. It has a cost and all that, and then it also has an investment. Because you what's next for you? What's next for you? Where are you gonna put those dollars? Or whether it be an estate plan, with retirement, brokerage, all this, all that. Where are you gonna put that bonus? Where are you gonna put that equity? What business are you gonna pursue? What platform are you gonna do? Are you gonna retire early? All this, all that. Once it becomes clear about alignment, all right. Yeah. Now you can put those dollars into buying those happiness units. Now you can go into pursuing that dream. Now you can go into shoring up your household, maybe having better couples conversations about money. Now you can go do this. Now you can go do that. And you have a higher probability of committing those dollars and stick to it in this as well.
So
I
was going to say, I would assume a lot of people are kind of flying by the seat of their pants when it comes to money. And even for them to pull the statements and look, that's not something that they do. It's not comfortable. So how do you get people to that point? Do they have to go through this dramatic struggle, or can their moment come easier? And then is it like better with certain age groups, or are there certain types of people that are more inclined to be able to pull it off? I know some people are self-directed investors, and they don't need an advisor, and it seems like they're doing great sometimes, and then other times everything blows up in their face, and then maybe they have their moment at that point. But if you could kind of lay out how you get to that point, I think it would probably be helpful for people watching.
Sure. Yeah. Money doesn't always have to be about trial. It could be triumphant as well. And I call it 4 T's. The money also has to be about trial. And a lot of the media that I know, I participate in the media a lot. I'm on TV and writing everything like Bob and Greg. You were doing media right now. Well, a lot of it tends to sometimes just roll just on fear.
Oh, yeah.
Some of it's fear driven or conflict driven. It's like somebody told me one time, it's like, Dr. Cherry, you smile too damn much. When are you going to say something controversial or conflict? I say enough of that, but I don't want to just be all the time, or why we have to say something controversial or conflict driven to get somebody's attention all the damn time. Anyway, that's a tangent. But what's my point? Money doesn't always have to be about trial. It doesn't have to be about fear. It can be about triumph as well. And then that allows you to transform and then transition to what you want to do. So to your point about how do you get folks to go to the step, all right? Depending on what your life stage is, everybody has pretty much, it's called the humanity of money. Everybody pretty much has the same feeling, okay? It's what is your aspirational life? Let's write that down, But before we get to that, what is your life of money not doing for you right now that you want it to do for you? And I pause there. I know we're doing a meeting right now and say, that's dead silence right there. We can't have any of that. But no. That silence allows for process.
Yeah.
What is your life of money? What is your life of money not doing for you right now that you want it to do for you? What's a conversation in your household, either with your spouse or with yourself, from a college student on to a boomer? What's a recent event that you said, I wish that it went a little bit differently? Right?
Yeah, that kind of ties into
and you said
that's like objectives.
Yes.
What are your personal objectives?
Yeah, so now you're tying a feeling to that. Because name that event. It's like, if you have a couple or even themselves, that they'll look at each other like this, they'll be like, we had this, we would have liked to go on vacation. It can be anything, but we would have went to like a vacation and not think about money so much, either being short on money or not as guilty.
Yeah, worrying about it.
Yeah, it's not as guilty. It's like, well, we had the money. We had the money. Why didn't we not enjoy it more? We were talking about it the whole trip. So it's two lenses. One lens is, one is we were short on money, and the other lens is we had too much money, and why were we thinking about it so much?
Yeah.
So okay,
and that's a good thing to put as an objective. Want to go on a trip, want to buy a new car, want to buy a house, want to pay for my kids to go to college. There's all these objectives that are around depending upon where you are in your life stage. I don't know if you see the chat there, but it says debt is my anxiety, credit cards, student loans. I can't meaningful spend money on things we want, travel.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because some things, because some folks talk about, I saw this on Threads the other day, and some folks say that, well, a lot of content on YouTube and all this other stuff is just geared to high income folks. Now, I'm a professor, and I talk to Gen Zers and students as well. And I've been out into all type of city communities and stuff like that. So I talk to all walks of life, and I've had conversations on all stripes and all this, even global and in different cultures. Okay, so I want to address the person's question about student debt and credit cards and this and like. Um, First of all, I want to about grace and compassion. It takes courage to even type that. So whoever typed that, give yourself a hug, for saying, I have anxiety about my debt, because that is that you've taken the first step about saying how you feel about it, and that takes courage. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. So voicing that and admitting that is the first step, and it's big. All right, so you've identified. All right, now you say, you know what, I don't want that. I want something different, and that's now you have the motivation and the willingness to say, okay, now how do I take what I'm doing now, and let's have a plan about it. And secondly, having the acknowledgement part, which is processing the feelings about it. Okay, that was the past. How you got there? Okay, let's. Why did you get there? Was it overspending? Was it giving to family members that didn't deserve it? Was it maybe perhaps a lack of knowledge on something? Was it an emergency? Was it an emergency? It could have been health or something. What got you there? So you can address it, whatever it may be. All right. And process the emotion behind that. Then now you can get to the action part, which is, what are my resources right now? And what's my time horizon to where I want to get rid of this debt? And how do I go about that? Is it 3 years that I want to be out of debt? What's my inflows and outflows? Do I need to get a side hustle? Now that I've addressed, I've admitted, and I've acknowledged and how I got here and why, now this is my goal. It's important to me. Now I have the stick-to-itiveness to go out and doing my inflows and outflows and going in there and finding some dollars. And if I don't have those dollars, perhaps I can go make some more dollars on the side in order to address this. And now for pretty much a fact, in 3 years or 4 years, whatever it takes you, not anybody else. Don't put any extra pressure on yourself and say, oh, I got to be out of debt in 12 years, 12 months, or, quickly. If it takes you 3 years, that's your goal and your journey. Work within the amount of money that you have and pay off that credit card debt and do one at a time. And also too, you don't have to starve yourself to have lifestyle deprivation,
Yeah. I mean, that's the other part of the question is, can you still go on vacation if you got this hanging over your head?
Yeah, absolutely. Because now that's a line item as well. Fund that simultaneously. Say in 9 months, I like to take a vacation. So fund that too. Put money in that bucket. So as of right now, you may be you're working hard and say, okay, that vacation is going to cost $2,000, and then I also have this debt. Okay, well, like my dad likes to say, he has some one-liners. I'm gonna have him on my podcast a lot more. My pops like to say, he said, hey, listen, son, he said, I ain't got your money. He said, I gotta save up for that. He said, I gotta save up for that. And he said, I get with you in a few months, right, or something like that, And so, but he's honest with where he is, but he'll go on the trip. He'll see me in a few months. So yes, you can still don't have deprivation, but do have two simultaneous goals and do that at the same time.
So when you get to the point where you're ready to do this kind of thing, is it helpful to talk to other people?
Absolutely. Community is very important. And that's why I opened up the membership, and it's going to kick off. I pushed the opening date back from November 1st to the first of the year. But having a community around you that's non-judgmental, to have to not. As I had a mentor one time, I kind of took her line too, but and she said I could have it, but she said nobody likes to be shit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody likes to be shit on, and so, but these are where these areas, like these public threads and all this other stuff, well,
Or like
why didn't
Reddit or Twitter.
yeah, Reddit and all that, I try not to say it, but I've said it a couple of times, Reddit and all of this stuff. It's like, well, we made it, why didn't you? Or, you should be doing this, or how come you can't live on that, or this and all this type of stuff, right? And how did you get all that debt, and why are you doing this and all that? That's for the individual to process, and yeah, there's people that make mistakes, or something, and maybe it's not a mistake, maybe it was just life, but that's the person.
And sometimes I would say sometimes there are things that happen and, you're not proud of what happened, but there's a whole bunch of other people doing the same thing. And it's helpful to know that they're out there.
Right. And that's just life. That's just life, and that's just what it is. That doesn't mean you're stuck there, and that's why it's good code. That's why the process, and we just talked about the process. So the point is that that's why it's a community. That way you have grace, but also to hold you accountable. It's because you're holding yourself, and it's upliftment. It's upliftment and encouragement, because you've already stated as a person what your goals are, right? And nobody's shooting you, but you're also saying, well, if it's 18 months from now and you stated what your goal is verbally, and you've committed to it. Somebody could say, if you're in a community who's like, all right, share with me where you're at. How you doing on that? And you see my tone. I didn't say, you said you're going to be here in 18 months. Where you at? No. He said, all right. Yeah. So how you doing on that goal you talked about 18 months ago? How's your progress coming along? Yeah. So you see, that's two totally different approaches. And if you have a community now, then that's that support right there, right?
So it's certain that community has to have like a shared language and shared, right? Like you can't have people that are outside the community, sort of like, because they won't have the same grace, perhaps, right?
Right, they're not going to have the same grace, but you also want people in there that are like-minded and like-spirited, because you want somebody like, look, my mom and my dad, and even my sister, and some of my friends. You have to have people that are around it that love you. Now, your professionals don't necessarily have to have total empathy for you. Empathy and compassion are different. Some empathy is cool, but you can go, as a professional, you can get overly empathetic and drain you, and actually ruin the relationship if you go too empathetic. Compassion is as a willingness to help and to understand. And so, but the example I'm about to use is about compassionate, financial compassion, and just willingness to understand and willingness to help. But your community. Somebody has to love you to hold your feet to the fire. But if it's not out of love, sometimes you're gonna hear something you may not want to hear, but you need it. But that comes from a support group that has like mind. It's like people are in there that want to, that want to go forward, right? So they're gonna want to. They're self-selecting with that transformative mindset. And that supportive to say, okay, give yourself some grace, give yourself that. Now, because we work in the process, right? We're also in that other A, and the 3 A's behind that, because it's an alignment system. It's admit where you are, acknowledge how you feel about it, so you can take action, and then align, aspire, achieve. So when people are on that thing, they wouldn't mind hearing, I need to go ahead and shape my ship up, so I can get back on track. If somebody were to tell them, because I just heard something from my pops the other day, and my mom just told me this in life too. They was like, "Hey man, you ain't doing right." You see, and I'm like, "Damn, do I really want to hear that right now?" And I get off the phone, and I'm like, "I'm a grown ass man," and then, but I sit there for a second, I can fold my arms like that, I'm on the phone, and I'm like, "Damn, they kind of right." But they tell you,
So I had one question sort of connected to this. We always talk about financial plans, making sure people have financial plans, and we think that everyone should have one, right? I know both of you guys. In fact, congratulations on your award with the Financial Planning Association. So that was very cool. What percentage? I mean, even if you guys have to guess, since you're both certified financial planners, what percentage of people even have a financial plan of any type?
Bob, you can take that one. Yeah, I know. But, yeah.
It's probably a
very
pretty low
few.
number.
Yeah. Depending on what, everybody has their studies and everything, they do. Then there's empirical studies, and then there's studies done like, with your companies and all this other stuff. But, the numbers anywhere between, on the high end, you'll get 40%. And that's on the high end. You generally, it's anywhere between, 20 and 30, somewhere around there. Where Bob, you shaking your head right there.
I was going to say 25% if you had to, ask me to quote a number.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't know this, Preston, but one of FinStream's new projects, we used AI and we built it's called the AI Wealth Planner. So you can build your own financial plan for free on our website. And our hope is that everybody that's an adult that has a checking account and gets a check in the mail every once in a while or into their account goes through this exercise and builds themselves a plan. And then they've got something that they can work off of. And hopefully they even go and talk to a professional, sit down with, a certified financial planner or somebody that can give them some feedback on this plan and have a roadmap to get to those goals that you were talking about, to make sure that they figure out what it is that they want their life to be like and the things that they want, and whether it's, doing things for their kids or doing things for themselves as they get older, going on those vacations, not just paying credit card debt every month.
Wow. Now that's a tool that's going to help, man, so many people.
We'll send it to you.
Access.
You can play around with it and let us know what you think.
I'll do that for sure.
We just pushed it live.
Oh yeah, I got to check that out for sure, because that can help people in my membership program.
Yeah, and it's a get started document, right? It's not going to be a 300-page financial plan. It's like easy enough and exit and something that gives you goals and targets. But
okay, I'll check that out because that could help people in my membership program. Now that it's going to launch, it can really be a partner.
Yeah.
Yes, somewhat related. Another thing that we just launched is a financial IQ test. There's lots of IQ tests floating around on the internet. We did one that's specific to financials, since we're all about improving financial literacy. And what struck me when you were talking about this is I'm sure a lot of these people want to know kind of where they stand versus their peers. Like, okay, I think I'm pretty smart with money. What's my financial IQ? And I talk to my sister or my buddy or whatever, and get them to try it, and we can compare notes. And from our standpoint, the hope is that people see where they have weaknesses, and they come back and watch more videos, so they learn more and they do better with their finances, which makes them do better with life.
Absolutely. Yeah, because people that helps people. It's a sense of self, a self agency. Because they came to the table wanting to know more. And they found out that's great. Yeah. Because when people
unlike that site that we talked about that begins with R, where they might get trashed for admitting the things that they are doing right now. This will be non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
So Preston, that as at FinStream, we're looking at launching a whole series of web applications built by AI that address a whole smattering of issues, right? Like whether it's how do I decide what kind of long-term care insurance policy to buy, or how much will I really spend in retirement, right? And just on like just or what behavioral biases am I subject to, and what are the mitigation strategies to overcome them, right? So there's just a whole plethora of tools that we can generate now because of AI.
Right. Oh man, yeah. AI is, it's going to be a complement to and a partner to many things in society that we're doing, and money and retirement is another one.
Yeah.
And so it's really going to help us. And somebody shared this with. I saw a presentation, so and I forgot her name. So if you're out there and you're watching or you heard this, something like that, I want to give you your credit because what you said. I think it was at CFP Connections conference, and she was doing an AI presentation, and it was fabulous. And she said one point, I wrote it down. And anyway, just want to give her her credit. She said, AI doesn't. She says she doesn't. It doesn't think. It computes, something like that. And it was fascinating what she said, because then it gets us to the wisdom part. So AI, what you're saying is fantastic about probabilities and computing information, and really estimating and computing things fast. When we put it in there, it feels great, but then it needs a human element to give it some wisdom.
Yeah.
And so yes, it's going to be a fantastic conversation. So the tools that you're building and releasing are fantastic, because people can get this computational output, and it's going to help them feel better understanding, right? And it's really going to give them a probability of feeling, and then they can get with somebody that's going to give them some more human wisdom behind it.
Yeah.
That's what our hope is.
Yeah. I'm always fond of saying, like, to get people from street level to curbside to advisor's doorstep, right? Like, right. Some working knowledge so that their eyes don't glaze over when someone says, oh, you have recency bias, right? Or you have overconfidence bias, or, you need a hybrid long-term care life insurance product.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
We're at the top of the hour. I think.
Yeah. I may have to run in a little bit.
Yeah, no. Closing thoughts, words of wisdom, pearls.
Well, this has been fascinating. So I pretty appreciate y'all, letting me, just give some wisdoms that's been put into me, and I put it all in the book. I put it all into the practice that I have. I put it all into, the students I teach on the stages that I do. So I just appreciate y'all just asking me these questions that allow me to share and have impact on people's lives. I would say, just as far as just wrapping up and one pearl of thought is, I know this sounds like a cliche. As a matter of fact, I was watching a TV film one time, and he was hanging this dude off of the roof, and the dude was about to be killed, and he said, "Listen, if you say something stupid, then I'm gonna let you go, and you're gonna drop down to the end of the you're gonna drop." He said, "Why do you use cliches too much so much?" Now, this dude was about to be dropped. So anything that he said after this, but he was about to be dropped, right? So he said, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but cliches work." and the dude, he was about to drop. He was like, "Okay, that's fair." Yeah. So anyway, the cliche I'm about to tell you is, a lot of people have heard this, is comparison is a thief of joy. And it's one of the number one money rules that you can have. And when I say that everybody has their story and has their journey, don't compare. And matter of fact, everybody needs to mind their own M&F business when it comes to money. Is because you hear all these stories. One of the things there's a few things I'm tired of hearing about. I'm tired of hearing about the home versus rent decision. I'm tired of hearing about the car decision. Well, wealthy and rich folks are not. Everybody is running around here driving buckets and hoopties. That ain't true. I mean, right? It's just not true. It's just not true. Right? And it's like everybody just or people that's declaring bankruptcy or that everybody is bums. That's not true, because the top decisions about bankruptcy is either medical debt, or divorce or something to this effect, or you're writing off a whole bunch of failed casinos or hotels. Did I say that out loud? But anyway. But so I like to call myself, a myth buster. So again, we're talking about comparison. If we could just own our own stories and leave everybody else's story alone, this is what I'm talking about, judgment and everything like that, then that's where the courage and grace comes from, and we can clear our own palates, keep your mind on your own luggage, keep your eyes on your own luggage like you're at the airport, right? And then this is where wealth and the key of life comes from, right? Now you can concentrate on your own life, right? And forge forward on what you need to take care of. And this is from the judgmental folks, and these are from the judged, right? And then we can all just go forward and align our life money the way we want to, and take action and the way we need to. That's my last gem there.
Mm.
Well, that fits in well with one thing that Bob says on a regular basis. Everybody has a unique financial fingerprint.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, we're recording this, so it will be available as an archived show. We'll probably edit some shorties out of it as well, so that people can get some of your tidbits of wisdom that we've recorded today. So thank you very much for doing this with us. We really appreciate you spending time with us. I hope a lot of people watching learn some things and can improve their lives by doing this. And as always, please subscribe to our channel, play with our toys, our wealth planner, our IQ test, and the other things that Bob mentioned that we'll be coming out with. And
buy Preston's book.
Buy Preston's book. Yes.
Buy my book. Go to Amazon's not on my favorite list right now, laying off all those folks and everything. But go on over there and buy the book. I appreciate you, and also follow me on Dr. Preston Cherry. That's the handle, Dr. Preston Cherry. That's including YouTube. I have a podcast as well, so follow me on YouTube and all the socials. And then concurrentfp.com. We do have a Financial Harmony membership. So if you don't need one-on-one advice, we have something accessible as far as financial guidance. And then if you need one-on-one advice, then that's over on the website too. So thank you all for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank you.